Let's now talk about the RBD material fracture node's chipping option. So chipping is not something that we didn't have before. It's just that it has been enhanced and now it's a very useful parameter to have in the RBD material fracture. So let's add the chipping attribute. So actually I mentioned that I would create my own scatter points. So I will create an ISO offset node. I will increase the resolution to say 60. And then we'll connect the scatter node. And of course we don't need that many points. I will reduce the number of points to say 20. And connect the points to the fourth input on the RBD material fracture. So back in the material fracture node, I will just use the input points. So I'll reduce the scatter points to 0. I will click on the input points. Actually, I also need to delete the second layer. So we're just using the scattered points. So click on the input points. And again, I will create an RBD exploded view. Shift enter to connect it. And I'll move it a bit to the left. So I usually like to click on the pieces to create the random colors we just talked about. And for now, I'll change the uniform scale to 0. And back on the RBD material fracture node, I will look for the chipping option and turn it on. So you probably remember from lesson number 4, we did turn on the chipping option for the node in Houdini 17.5. But to be honest, it didn't work quite well. I actually didn't use it really in production. It generated kind of like random smaller pieces here and there, but they really didn't look very natural. Now, the new chipping option is very nice. And let me, for a moment, turn off the colored pieces and zoom into these corners here. So notice how there have been created a few smaller pieces where the corners of the larger pieces are. So they're not like random pieces here and there. The chipping option tries to look where we have sharp angles or larger angles, and it will not only create small pieces there, it will also start to round the shapes a little bit more. So here you can see this large piece has been rounded a little bit with these new pieces. So you can increase the chipping ratio, so this will create more chips. Of course, you could reduce this number, but usually you can bring it very high. I'm going to try with 0.9. Of course, you can change the seed if you are not completely happy with the arrangement of the pieces. You can also increase the corner ratio, which would create more rounded pieces overall. And it has a few other options, the corner depth and the directional noise. I haven't seen much change with these options, but you can experiment. Overall, I really like this new feature. I have been using it a lot. Now when I create concrete, I usually turn it on. So let me go back to my exploded view. And you will notice how in between these larger pieces, lots of smaller pieces have been created. And not only that, also we will get a new set of constraints for the chips that are usually set with a lower strength value than the other pieces. So these small chips will be the first one to fall apart when doing an RBD simulation, and it usually looks very natural. So give it a try, and I'm sure you will find it very useful in your future RBD simulations.